Did you catch the Riyadh season card this weekend? I mean, what a crazy, crazy card from top to bottom. Bivol, Beterbiev at the top. What an amazing performance. What a great fight. Really entertaining. Buatsi versus Smith. Absolute slugfest from round 1 all the way to round 12. We had Caballero versus Zhile Zhang. Crazy fight while it lasted. Really amazing performance by Caballero to get up off the floor and knock the big man out, outweighing him by 40 pounds. I mean, crazy, crazy performance. We had a few shady cards and we'll go through them. And I mean, we've just had an absolute crazy press conference with Eubank versus Ben, and we'll get through all of that. What's up, fight fans? I'm Clay, and this is Squared Circle News, a new channel. I mean, I've been covering boxing for about 12 years now, but on this channel, I will exclusively give you guys my predictions, boxing insight, and discuss upcoming events like the Riyadh season card that we've just had this weekend. I mean, what an absolute cracker. Let's start with Buatsi versus Callum Smith. I mean, this fight, I was looking forward to it. Buatsi is one of my favorite boxers. And I mean, I've said it probably for the last 5-6 years. He needs to improve his head movement. Zero head movement. And it really showed in this fight. I mean, Smith couldn't miss. He could not miss. This was an absolute cracker of a fight. Really, really entertaining from the first bell all the way through to round 12. There was no running. It was just slugging it out, but with really educated pressure at times. Body work from both men was absolutely top class. I mean, I was in awe the whole fight. I mean, I knew Buatsi can really tuck in and dig to the body, and Smith is an excellent body puncher. But for both men to stand there toe to toe for 12 rounds and dish out serious, serious body blows, the whole fight, 10-10, 10-10 fight. And this was, you know, I think one of the first fights of the card. I think it was the third fight on the bill. Absolutely crazy fight. My hat goes off to Callum Smith. Great win. I'm not sure where he's going to go from here. I don't really want to see him versus Yard. I feel like that's an easy fight. I would still like to see Buatsi versus Yard. I think we're long overdue that fight. And in my opinion, I think that Buatsi does come through that fight. I don't think he should switch trainers or anything like that. I think he should stay with Virgil Hunter. But he really did need to listen to his coach. I feel like there were times in the fight where, you know, a bit of the ego was showing through, where Virgil was giving instructions and Joshua Buatsi was just saying, watch, you know, just watch. No, I don't really like seeing that. You know, Virgil knows his stuff when it comes to defense. And, you know, we've had a few British fighters. I think Amir Khan got with him at one point to work on his defense. And after a couple of fights, he left Virgil. So I don't really want to see the same thing happen here. It's not a matter of bad coaching. I really do believe that this is something where a bad habit of lack of head movement is stuck with Buatsi. But it'd be really interesting to see where he goes from here. And for Callum Smith, I'm not really sure where he goes from here. I mean, Bivol and Beterbiev are likely to have a trilogy, so it'd be interesting to see him mix it up with someone like a David Benavidez, but I think he loses that fight. I think there's too much willpower, too much youth, and too much volume from Benavidez for Callum Smith. But again, anything can happen. It's boxing. We'll move on from here to the Caballero versus Zhile Zhang fight. Amazing fight while it lasted, really fun. You know, Ajit Caballero was down in the third round or the second round, one of the two. And I thought, okay, well, Zhile Zhang looks like he's got his form there with him, but it was a relentless effort to the body from Caballero. And I was watching the fight with a couple of my friends, and, you know, we were just laughing the whole time. It was a really entertaining fight. Just watching Caballero just beat up on Zhile Zhang. You know, relentless body attack, consistent body attack. And it was amazing just to see him get him out of there after 5 rounds. You know, even with Zhang's 40 pounds, I think it was 47-pound weight advantage. Crazy fight. From there, we moved on to Carlos Adames versus Hamza Shiraz. Now, I did pick Carlos Adames to win this fight. I didn't think it would be that convincing. I'm not sure why Hamza Shiraz wasn't throwing any punches after about 4 rounds. He was just backtracking and hardly throwing any punches. I thought maybe his hands were injured, But again, like he's right, I think it was his right cheekbone or orbital bone, one of the two, looked like it was caved in. And I was saying to a couple of guys that I was watching the fight with, he's the right side of his face doesn't look right, you know. So I don't know if he got an orbital bone injury or something like that, that made him basically just shell up and not really want to engage and throw any punches. Again, really interested to see where he goes from here. And it was such a big disappointment with the introduction of Riyadh season and the Saudis. We thought that a lot of these things would be eliminated. And I could see Frank Warren going absolutely berserk. You know, just right after the fight, he thought that his man had lost. And I think even Turki Al-Sheikh was walking up and down and pacing. And then you just see him disappear out of shot. I thought, I wonder where he's going. I wonder where he's going. And as soon as the cards were read out, we all knew, we could all see what was coming. It kind of reminded me of Bosch. Oh gosh, his name's completely gone. But he got absolutely battered by Dave Allen. And yeah, the guy got a quick decision just because he was the more marketable prospect that was coming up that they wanted to keep on the winning track or avoid getting a loss put on his record. So again, really disappointed. I don't really want to see things like this in boxing. We then moved on to Shakur Stevenson versus Padley. This is a fight we all expected Shakur Stevenson to just run through this guy. Not run through him with his power or anything like that, but just to get a stoppage fairly early on. I didn't expect this to go 9 rounds. So that was really surprising. Now, one thing that I can say from observation, I do not believe that Shakur Stevenson beats Tank Davis. I do not believe that Shakur Stevenson even beats a Devin Haney. And I'd be very surprised if Shakur Stevenson beats someone like a Ryan Garcia. Now, as good as a boxer he is, he's got brittle hands. This is something that we've seen Floyd Mayweather suffer with after he moved up from 135 pounds. With Floyd, he had the footwork and as well as the punch volume to keep guys at bay. And he had a bit of pop. He had really good treatment of his hands. And I'd like to see, because I think Shakur did mention that he'll talk to Floyd and get some tips and advice on how to combat these hands and, you know, just in terms of the recovery. But the way that he fight and that 135 to 140 division, the guys aren't just brute force, come forward, power punches that are just going to slug it out with you. Someone like a Gervonta Tank Davis is a boxer puncher. You know, he's got the ring IQ to cut the ring off. He can box with Shakur. Devin Haney can box with Shakur. And, you know, we've seen Devin Haney drop guys like a Regis Prograis. You know, so that shows that if he does sit down on his punches, he can get you out of there as well. Maybe not out of there, but he can hurt you. And now with Shakur's hands, I don't think he's going to be able to keep these guys off him for that long because his hands are getting injured after 2-3 rounds, you know. And then for the rest of the fight, he's really hesitant in terms of throwing. And if you've got someone that can move and has got the footwork to match you in that ring, it's a recipe for disaster. So I think this is going to be an interesting development, and it'll be interesting to watch and see how Shakur deals with this going forward. Now moving on to Joseph Parker versus Bakole. I was excited to see this fight. You know, kudos to Bakole for taking them on such late notice, but I think we all knew what it was. For as long as it lasted, it would be entertaining. But eventually we all knew that Bakole's lack of fitness would catch up to him. You know, as someone that boxes, even missing as much as, you know, a couple of weeks of sparring or a couple of weeks without sparring and getting in there, your reactions in terms of getting punches thrown at you isn't quite there. You know, it takes a bit of time to get used to the timing of, okay, well, let me get my reflexes right and orienting yourself. Bakole hasn't been in a fight camp. He hasn't trained for this fight at all. So it's shocking, really. Things like this shouldn't happen in boxing, but fair play to him for stepping in last minute. But I think we all knew what it would be. I hope that Joseph Parker does get his title shot. You know, the guy's CV at heavyweight is unmatched. I think there's no other fighter out there with a CV as consistent as his. You know, maybe Derek Chisora might give him a run for his money, but in terms of the wins and in terms of the operators that he's gone in against over the last 3-4 years, he deserves his title shot. I don't want to see Daniel Dubois going in against Usyk without either of them giving Joseph Parker his shot at the heavyweight world title. Now, the Virgil Ortiz versus Madrimov fight. This was really frustrating to watch. You know, as someone that does like to dance in the ring and move around in there was a lot of wasted efforts, and it was really irritating to watch Madrimov move around the ring, but not do an awful lot while moving around that ring. You know, there's a lot of exaggerated movement, but not really punching and doing much. It did take Virgil Ortiz a couple of rounds or probably half the fight to get into it, but once he got into it, Madrimov had wasted a lot of energy, and that caught up with him. And yeah, it was a great fight while it lasted. It was interesting. Good win for Virgil Ortiz. And yeah, he moves on to bigger and better things. Now the main event, wow, just wow. I mean, that was for the purist an excellent matchup. For the casuals, excellent entertainment. Two guys going toe to toe at a very high skill levels. It was the best of both worlds for casuals as well as hardcore boxing fans. And these guys put on an absolute show. I mean, with all of the distractions Bivol had to deal with regards to his ex-wife and things like that coming into the first fight, all of that seems to be just behind him. And he came in a mission, and that mission was to win regardless. He showed us different levels. He showed us gears, going through the gears and operating at a high level. I feel like Beterbiev, you know, in the middle rounds, I thought, okay, yes, he's going to get him out of there. It looked like he was going to stop him. But, you know, Bivol just had another gear. He had another tank. He had a reserve tank of energy to plug into, and bit down on his gum shield and said, no, you're not taking this from me. And it was an excellent fight. And, you know, I think that he will win the trilogy in I think more convincing manner. The adjustment the Beterbiev would need to make is more related to stamina and, you know, keeping that pressure consistent. But I think that at this point, Bivol has his number. He has his number because the counter punching, beautiful. The boxing on the inside, beautiful. The head control, again, and just kind of just controlling it. It was like watching a bull and a matador in there. It was an absolute, you know, masterclass, and it's a really inspiring performance by Bivol. You know, I think any young and up and coming fighters coming up, just watch this guy in terms of how he trains, how he throws his punches, his technique, his movement, that in and out. It was just superb to watch. And it just flows so effortless. I feel like the Soviet style is such a nice style in terms of boxing. But yeah, overall that Riyadh card was amazing. There were a few disappointing results on there. I'm not sure what Stephen Gray was watching. I think he needs to stick to either judging or refereeing. I think as a referee, not too bad, no real complaints against him. But as a judge, there are some questionable decisions. And I mean, that 119-111 scorecard for the Buatsi Smith in the Buatsi fight was absolutely ridiculous. Ridiculous scorecard. I'm not really sure what he was watching. And then even in the Hamza Shiraz fight, again, there's some questionable judges favorable to the marketable fighter. And again, Carlos Adames was robbed of his victory. But overall, great card. Really excited. And, you know, we've just had a crazy press conference with Eubank Jr. And Conor Ben, where he's just been slapped with an egg. There were a few digs in terms of the contractual stuff, and I'm not too sure how true some of the statements from Conor Ben are with regards to the £4 million debt to Neymar. I mean, really? I mean, 4 months ago, they were sat together at the Riyadh season card. You know, Neymar turned up to one of his fights. So I'm not sure about that. £4 million debt in poker sounds like a lot of money. And I hope that, you know, for Eubank's sake, that is not the case. You know, he's coming towards the end of his career. That gambling and things of that nature needs to be under control. You know, we don't want to see him retire and then, you know, have nothing to show for it or have nothing left because of these poker games. And if he's losing that badly, maybe pick something else to do, maybe golf or something. But yeah, besides that really entertaining press conference, Conor Ben was fuming. Really excited to see what happens on Thursday, and we'll cover it. You know, we've got Gervonta Tank Davis fighting soon. We've got another set of cards coming up soon. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you thought of the Riyadh season card. And yeah, your predictions for Ben Eubank Jr. At the moment, I think that it should be a masterclass by Eubank Jr. I think too big, too strong. The uppercuts, yeah, I think it's just going to be too much. There are weight classes for a reason, and I think we're going to see that in this fight. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time.